Good afternoon, Anne Arundel County. Good afternoon, America. Welcome to Promoting Community Conversation and Discovery. My name is Anthony Bonham. I'm your host. The name of our production company is the Glen Burnie Players. These are exciting times here in Anne Arundel County. Now, it has been a bit warm. We got a little bit of rain last night, but not enough. Not enough. Still, beautiful weather today, a little cooler. So, happy to everybody. So, before we start with this week's show, we want to have a couple of shout outs. Let's start off actually with upcoming events. So, it actually started last weekend, but it continues through this week. I guess it goes for about a month. The Glen Burnie Improvement Association supports concerts in the park. These concerts are downtown. They're Friday nights about 7:30. I've been to them in the past. They're a lot of fun. You take up your lawn chair and you get a chance to just kind of chill out on a Friday evening. So if you get a chance, check it out. Check it out. I'm not sure who's playing tomorrow night, but I got a feeling I'm going to be there. Now, also, I saw this on the back of a bus. Isn't actually Anne Arundel County, but I think this is worth noting. It's called Beyond Shakespeare. It's the Chesapeake Shakespeare Company, and they are doing free shows in local Baltimore parks. The first one is July 1st. That's Monday night, 7:30, over at Carroll Park, which is located at 1500 Washington Boulevard. So it's Shakespeare, and it's what? Free. So I think I'm going to be at that one too. So let's go ahead and continue. We want to have shout outs to our affiliates. So we start off with Anne Arundel County Cable Access. Thank you for airing our show. They're airing our first episode of Community Conversation and Discovery. This is our first of the rebrand. They're airing it right now, 3 days a week. You might have to check your local listings for that. I think they are on Verizon 99, on Comcast 98, and Broad Stripe, I think, was 37. I think it's been a little while since I read those numbers here. Also, we want to thank Greenbelt Cable Access. They're located in PG County. Thank you for running our shows. Amherst Media are Amherst, Massachusetts. They're running our show on Saturday nights, and they run it on their website. Thank you for running our show. Manhattan Neighborhood Network. Again, they run their show on when we put a show in, they run it for 3 times, and then they take it off there. That's how it works with them, because I'm sending them individual shows, because although we have a good stock number, we don't have it infinite. It's not like we've been in syndication for years. Thank you for running our show. Thank you so much for that. Special thanks to Goffstown TV out of Goffstown, New Hampshire. You see, they filmed and already edited the Goffstown History Bynum Legacy presentation. And I saw part of it. It's fantastic. I had a chance to see old friends, share with my brother Bruce some great knowledge. We worked it together. He was my co-presenter, and it was a lot of fun. Saw folks from way back. The whole town was there. The room fit about 32, 35. There were like over 60 people there. There were people out in the halls, everywhere. And we made sure that they got their money's worth. To include some great cookies. Great cookies. We had a ball. Okay, let's continue. We wanted to give credit where credit's due. So we want to thank the fine people of Wikipedia for assisting us with our research. We also want to thank Poem Hunter. You'll see why that's relevant in a little bit. And Google Images. I had not been giving credit to them, but I really should be, because those pictures that we do with the share, that comes from them. So thank you. Thank you all. There's a theme to this week's show. Oh, before we talk about the theme. Also, we want to thank our underwriter slash sponsor. That's the cleaning shop. That information will be in the credits. Okay. There's a theme to this week's show. It's called Like Father, Like Son. So before you start whistling the theme from what was the name of the show? My Best Friend, right? Let me tell you about my best friend, you know that song. Let's start with the show, right? So last week we covered Benjamin O. Davis Sr., the first Black or first African American general in the United States Army. First, I had a very, very successful person and lived a long life, which is good. To be successful and long lived, that's a big deal. Now we're going to go to our screen share because this week we want to talk about, share the life of his son. That's right. That's Benjamin O. Davis Jr. Incredible accolades. You can already see the military attire because he followed in his father's footsteps. What an honor. What a tribute to your dad to follow in his footsteps. So let's talk a little bit about General O. Davis or General Davis. He was born 12/18/1912. He died 7/4/2002. So he lived a long life. I'll read a little bit about his history here. He was a commander in World War II of the Tuskegee Airmen. We've heard about the Tuskegee Airmen. He was their commander. He was the first African-American brigadier general in the United States Air Force history. Now, his father, Benjamin O., that's just the middle initial, Davis Sr., was the first brigadier general and first African-American brigadier general, period. Right? Now, he was advanced to 4-star, which is brigadier general, 12/9/1998. He was born in Washington, D.C. And listen to, well, actually, before we talk about his theaters, last week, I was not sure the date of and more information about the integration of the Army. But let me give it to you right now. July 1948, President Harry S. Truman signed the Executive Order 9981 that would desegregate the United States Armed Forces forever. So there it is right there. So theaters, well, World War II, we mentioned that, but also the Korean theater. He served in the Second Taiwan Strait. Now, I'm going to have to find out, do a little research, find out a little more about that conflict because it's the first I've heard of it. The Vietnam War, well, we know about the Vietnam War. Those are all the areas. So let's talk about some of the machines that he flew in or he piloted. There was the P-39, the Curtiss P-40, the Warhawk P-47, also known as the Thunderbolt, and the P-51 Mustang. So we know about that P-51 Mustang. That's how they escorted those bombers during World War II. They were actually called the Red Tails because they had this interesting paint job on the back of the back of the plane, the tail fin. Yes, the tail fin. That's what it's called. Okay, we already covered that his father was Benjamin, middle initial O. Davis Sr. But his mom, we didn't mention this, Eleanor Dickerson Davis. Now, he had 2 siblings, so there were 3 of them, but his mother died due to complications of childbirth with on the third birth. So he probably didn't really know his mom or couldn't know her all that well, not that long anyway. So in 1926, somehow he gets in a barnstorming plane. Now, there was a lot of shake about planes back in those days. So that was actually quite a leap of faith for Dad. I'm assuming Dad let him fly in that plane. I'd be hard pressed to believe he wouldn't. And he got through it. And he said from there, he wanted to be a pilot. He said, that's for me. Just like Emily Dickerson, remember we covered her, about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. She knew what she wanted to do early on. Once she experienced the thrill of being in that plane, she said, yeah, that's for me. Now, he attended and graduated from West Point in 1936. So the whole time when he was in the academy, he got the silent treatment. Just like they did, I think it was Lieutenant Flipper. I think that was his name, Flipper. Yes. He was the first one to graduate since 1889. So the first one to attend. I'm not sure. Yeah, Flipper must have graduated 1889. That's a long time. Now, I think the rule is you still have to be sponsored to get into the academy. He was sponsored by Oscar DePriest. So Oscar DePriest was a congressman from Chicago. He's the only black member of Congress back in those days. So for all those things and more, most admired, you have to look at Benjamin, middle initial O, last name Davis Jr. Okay, so we want to move on. Something of consequence regarding Anne Arundel County. What better place to look at than Anne's Dairy Queen? Now, I'd always thought it was called Anne's Footlong, to be honest with you, for years and years until I started researching the story. Let's talk a little bit about it. It's located on Ritchie Highway. It was started actually in 1949, the home of Anne and John Steyer in Glen Burnie. Eventually, they got enough business, they moved to, it may have been that building where they're at right now in that picture. Their staples, ice cream, hot dogs, and milkshakes. But French fries too, because I've had a lot of French fries from them. In fact, I go back to when my boys, Anton and Andre, were younger, 6, 7, 8, 9, something like that. Friday nights, it seemed like I had the boys, both of them. Maybe Lori was working, I can't say I remember. But we had to eat, and we always went there. It was a cheap meal. Seriously, hot dogs and French fries are very inexpensive. Now, the milkshakes cost a little bit. I tended to stay away from them, not because they weren't good, just because they were a little more expensive. The chili dogs were off the hook. Absolutely loved them. Absolutely loved them. So it's interesting because about 2 years ago, Royal Farms built a mega store right next to them. One of these giant where you get your gas and everything from honey buns to whatever. And I said I had a conversation with a person I know, a guy named Joe, good guy. And I said, their days are numbered. He said, no, Ann's will be okay. And he was right. They're holding their own. They are definitely holding their own. So something out of consequence, again, this week is going to be Ann's Dairy Queen, which I always call Ann's Foot. So we're going to stop the share. And we're going to move on. Remember I said we have a theme this week, like father, like son. So there's a poem that I would like to read regarding this very subject. Got to shrink it down a little bit. I don't know why it's so big here. How do I shrink this down a little bit? There we go. It's called A Father and Son. It's made available by the Poem Hunter, and it's written by a Jeannie Graveline. That's the name. So here we go. A Father and Son. From the moment a dad holds his newborn boy, new baby boy rather, till the day that his son's on his own, a closeness is forged that grows stronger each day, as the seeds of devotion are sown. At the dawning of life, in those sweet early years, his father stands tall in his eyes. His son feels protected and nurtured and loved by a dad who is gentle and wise. And as time unfolds, the boy and his dad experience life side by side. Through troubles and triumphs and good times and bad, each learns how to roll with the tide. There are so many moments the two of them share and so much emotion they feel. First wobbly steps, first bike ride, first ball game, the first time behind the wheel. This bond that defines them remains ever strong as the years pass by, one after one. They're there for each other through all that life brings, this dad and the man he calls son. Very well written. Very, very well written. That show is called The Courtship of Eddie's Father, by the way. I'd forgotten. Well, these are exciting times here in Anne Arundel County. Thank you for tuning in. We're in production right now, which is starting production of a new show. It's going to be called Jazzing with the Ushers. So more information on that. But until next time, for everyone here at the Glen Burnie Players, again, my name is Anthony Bynum. Until next time, bye-bye.